Hey, this is a video going over how I input food into Myfitnesspal. You can see in the top of the screen, you can see the goal was 2,600, and by the end of the day, I was at 2,483, which is fine. This is what I ended up with at the end of the day. So protein, 209, I actually went over on this. That's not a problem. Carbs, I was under. Fiber, I was fine, and then fat, I think I was a little over, and that's all fine. I'll go into that a little bit more at the end. So let's take you back to the beginning and take a look at breakfast. So I do overnight oats for breakfast a lot of the time. So this is just me weighing out the oats. See, I'm at 102 there. This is a really easy breakfast to measure because I simply just zero out the scales each time. So I've got the oats in, and then I'll put in the protein powder next. So here's the mixing. It doesn't look very appetizing right now, but it tastes really good when it's all finished. So now the oats and protein powder in, I pour in the raspberries. I was making sure that the scale is back at 0 so I can see each time what the ingredients weight is at the end. Now pay attention to the next bit because I'm going to be putting in some peanut butter. So I actually put the spoon in first, zero that out with the spoon on, so it's going to be at minus level now. And then I'll put the peanut butter in and weigh it with the spoon, just because peanut butter sticks to the spoon, and peanut butter is really calorie dense. So it's super important to be accurate when you're weighing out peanut butter, because a couple of grams over adds in a ton of calories. So again, just zeroed out those scales because I'm adding in some dark chocolate next. These oats are pretty good. Just making sure I'm getting my quota of dark chocolate because I wanted about 20 grams. So I wanted to make sure I had that 20 grams or 19. So all I do is leave these in the fridge overnight or for a couple of hours. And actually more recently, I've been putting in a freezer for about an hour or so, and they taste really good. So just going into my Myfitnesspal app for breakfast. Next to the search bar, you've got the barcode scanner. So just scanning the back of the oat packet, adjusts the serving size accordingly to what I had. So I had 104 grams of protein, and same again for the vegan protein I was using. It's got a barcode, super simple to put in. I had 32 grams, but 30 grams is fine because it's not super high in calories, so I'm not going to kill myself to get that extra gram. On the other hand, of course, peanut butter, as I think I mentioned earlier. I'm accurate when I'm measuring peanut butter because it is so calorie dense. It's delicious, but very calorie dense. As you can see with that 605 calories per 100 grams. So I had 37 grams, which is still quite a lot, but I can fit that into my breakfast, no problem. Next up, dark chocolate again. I'm super accurate here. Serving size 20 grams. I had 19, I think, but I just put that in there because, I was under anyway, so it's fine. The frozen berries, they're not particularly calorie dense at all, so I won't kill myself to measure out that extra couple of grams. I think I had about 120 anyway, so that's absolutely fine. Next up, I'm doing a sandwich. So I'm doing a beef sandwich. So I'm putting the bread on there and just recording that and then zeroing it out each time or after each ingredient. So zeroed that down. Then I'm going to put some horseradish on. I probably should have spread this up a little bit more, but instead you can watch my savage spreading, which isn't the neatest. Okay, then I've got beef that I'd cooked the day before. Then some salt. You don't need to measure about that or worry about that because it doesn't have any calories in. Tomatoes, I'm measuring them, but I won't necessarily always because they're so low in calories. Cheese, that's definitely worth a measure. I think it was lower fat cheese, but it's still pretty calorie dense, so worth a measure. Cucumber, again, I wouldn't necessarily always measure. So let's go into how I input this into Myfitnesspal. So going into lunch, this is quite funny actually. So I tried to barcode scan the bread, and occasionally this happens where you don't really get the correct ingredients, but it doesn't happen very often. So all I did was search, I think, whole wheat bread or something on there from Sainsbury's, Yeah,
which
that's
is where I got
breakfast
it
done,
from,
863
and
calories.
then put in the amount that I had. When these situations arise, it's just important to do the best you can, and that's going to be a pretty good measure because bread is pretty similar nutritionally across the board. Okay, next up the horseradish. Luckily it's got a barcode on the back, so you just scan that in quickly there. I measure this in grams, but it's actually in millilitres, but again, these will be very similar values. There's no point really worrying too much about this because it's going to be very similar. And again, it's not super high in calories, so you can afford to be have a little bit of inaccuracy there. So again, if if this is something high in calories like fat, olive oil, peanut butter, something 600, 800 calories per 100 grams, I would try and be as accurate as I can to the gram. But this one, it's about 100 calories per 100 grams, so it's not too much of a big deal at all. Okay, cucumber, and again, like I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't necessarily always measure this because it's so low in calories, it doesn't really count. I can eat 2,600 calories a day, so these extra couple of calories don't matter that much. If someone had much lower calories they'd have to worry about, then you probably would put it in, but for the sake of this video I'm just going to whip it in because it is pretty easy to do. Okay, and then next up for the cheese, again it's fairly calorie dense, so I'm going to be more accurate with this. So I think about 23 grams of protein, so 0.23 of 100 grams. And then again, similar to cucumber, tomatoes, I'm not going to kill myself worrying too much about being accurate because again, they're super low in calories. So yeah, you can see when I put it in, I think it comes to about 16 calories or so for the tomato. So really not too big a deal if you're looking to record. Next up, I had a protein shake post-workout. Whey protein is a really easy way of bumping up your protein.
So putting into Myfitnesspal, it's super easy. I could have scanned the barcode, but just showing that Myfitnesspal database is pretty big. You can just type it in, it will come up pretty easily there. And I can just put in, I think I had 37 grams. So I clicked on serving size, put a gram, then 37 grams. Nice and easy to put that into the app.
Okay, here's dinner. So this is really easy because it's the end of the week shop. I think we just had some chicken breast in. I had to go to the shops to get some salady bits. Then we've got our dog Clive there looking on. So this is actually a really quick, healthy meal. It's a massive salad bowl as well, and it's pretty low in calories for what it is as well. And I'm not a chef, but I like to eat nice food, and it tastes really good, and that's the main thing. Healthy and tasty. Done. So going into Myfitnesspal and inputting this for the chicken, I just put in chicken breast and uncooked. I should have mentioned this earlier when I was putting the beef in, but uncooked meat and cooked meat will have different nutritional profiles, so I just put uncooked. The packet was 400 grams. I had half of it, so it's 200 grams, nice and easy, 2 lots of 100 gram servings. This chicken was just put in the oven with in a baking dish with some Nando sauce, which will be later in the video. Cool. Scanning some broccoli. I had half of it, so I think the packet was 180 grams or something like that. So I just half the packet. I had half the amount. That was put in the oven. Again, with broccoli, as with most vegetables, the calories are super low, so it's not the end of the world if you aren't very accurate with it, or, well, obviously don't be silly with it, but you don't have to kill yourself trying to be accurate. And again, that's a salad, same thing, just had half the amount, so just bung that in there. And again, the calories are so low, it doesn't matter if you're out by even 10, 20, 50 grams, it doesn't really matter too much. This is a Nando sauce I put in with the chicken. It's pretty low in calories, so again, I'm not being super accurate with it. At 100 grams, I just put the chicken dish on the scales and poured that in, just so I'm being accurate, if that's how you want to do it. But it's really easy to do that, and you don't have to add any oil or anything like that, and it still tastes pretty good. You can see on the back here that I think it's only about 70 calories per 100 grams, so again, it's pretty low in calories compared to most sauces. 64 calories per 100. I think this is measuring the rice now. This is the rice I use if I'm in a rush because it takes 2 minutes in a pan. It's microwave rice is really good. Use half the pack, and rice goes with everything, so can't really go wrong. And here's the packet of it here. It's so cheap, it's ridiculous. And oh yeah, this is a salad I made. So the salad with some tomatoes in. Again, I put those in at some point. Feta cheese. And some pomegranate seeds there. Again, I'm really not a chef, but I just know what I like, and it's all really healthy stuff, and I'm just recording that there. So I just zeroed it out like I normally do, put a big salad bowl on there, zeroed it out for the feta cheese, zeroed it out for the pomegranates. Okay, and again, using that barcode scanner to put in the feta cheese. Again, similar to cheese earlier, it's pretty calorie dense. You want to be pretty accurate when you're doing feta cheese. And then again with the pomegranate, never actually put a pomegranate in Myfitnesspal before, but it comes up and it looks pretty accurate to me in the experience that I've done. So yeah, obviously I measured it out in grams and I just put it in to the best I could. Again, this is another potential issue you could face where the serving is like, for example, in ounces like it is there. If you click on that, the serving size will change, and I've got it in grams there, so I can input it in the form that I'm used to. So yeah. This isn't necessarily something that I advise or whatever, but tracking calories does leave room sometimes for having things like beer. So I literally only had half the can of this. So I'm not saying you need to smash back loads of pints or loads of glasses of wine. This is literally half a beer I shared with Lucy. As well as the beers, I finished off the day with these digestive thins, which are delicious. I think I had about 4 of those. Obviously, it's not overdoing it, and if there's space in a diet, it's quite a good thing to have, really, because it just means you're not feeling as deprived on a diet as you do in most diets, I suppose. So if we go back over the day, I've had a pretty normal breakfast or lunch, dinner, and a few snacks in there as well. So nothing really that looks like I've been deprived too much. I enjoyed all the food. There's a good balance, everything. Now, if we take a look at the results at the end of the day, you can see the protein's quite high. That's absolutely fine. If you're going to overeat something, protein's more than okay. It's not laid down as fat very well. Yeah, basically the way of turning protein into fat is very inefficient, so I'm really not worried about overeating protein and that turning into fat. Then if we go down, we've got carbs, carbohydrates. I'm way under on that. That's absolutely fine. I wasn't feeling any cravings for them, so I don't feel like I missed out on them. And then if we look at fat, I overshot by a couple of grams, but that's no problem at all because I was so much under on my carbs. So you can balance those out really. And then if we take a look at what my calories were like, I was under by just over 100 calories, which is the most important number. If I was much under it, I might be hungry in the future, but because I'm pretty close to that, I'm happy. And obviously there's a degree of error to that. And then the next most important one is protein, and I'm more than hitting my protein number, so I'm not worried about any potential muscle loss or anything like that whilst dieting.